Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the last in the series for our top recipes. So today we are going to be wrapping up this series of our top recipes, and I'm going to be sharing with you our top 5 vegetarian recipes. What's your favorite vegetarian meal? Leave it in the comments below. As I got to looking back through all of the videos that I've shared over the last 2 years, I could not decide on just my top 3 because there were a couple recipes that are simple, very simple, but are just a good recipe to have in your arsenal. Let's say your meal rotations. It's just a good staple. It's delicious, and I just wanted to share them. So I decided to do our top 5. If you've not been watching my top 3 series, this is something I've been doing this month in July since it's my channel's birthday month. 2 years that I've had a YouTube channel. So we went back and looked through all of the recipes that we've shared, and we've been picking our favorite ones. So if you've not checked that out, I'll leave it linked down in the description box below. Coming in at number 5, this one is super simple, but it's so delicious and a great recipe to have on hand, and it uses like just a few ingredients. This is my crock pot vegetable soup. Tonight's meal, we're going to be throwing together a super easy dump and go crock pot meal of vegetable soup. Now, I'm not going to be adding in any meat. You could add in some beef if you wanted. I'm going to be using this tomato juice, mixed vegetables, the tomatoes. I'm also going to use the rest of that onion. We're just going to dump this in the crock pot and let this cook for about 4 hours. There's that other half of that onion. I'm going to pour in my frozen mixed veggies. A can of diced tomatoes with onion, celery, and green bell pepper. It's going to go in. Then we're going to pour in this can of tomato juice. For seasonings, I'm going to add in some salt, pepper. Add as much as you like. You're going to add in some garlic powder. Give this a stir. Once this kind of comes together and is heated up, I will taste to see the salt level. I will also taste for the acidity. If I need to knock the acidity of the tomato back, I might add in a pinch of sugar. All right. I'm going to cook this on high for 4 hours. Here is our vegetable soup. We are serving this up with some of that French bread, and we still have a lot left. So I feel like this has been a win this week. This is so delicious. We've had this soup several times. It is delicious, easy, budget friendly, super great on a rainy day like today. I love that easy, delicious vegetable soup recipe. You should give it a try. So simple and so delicious. Coming in at number 4 is another very simple but delicious vegetarian option. It's another soup. It's my favorite soup. It's potato soup. So after I have added my potatoes to the pot, I'm just going to be covering them with water, and then I'm going to be adding in some seasonings. I'm going to be using some salt and pepper, of course, but I'm also going to be adding in garlic powder and minced onion to make this soup very flavorful. I'm going to get it on the stove, let it come to a boil, and cook until the potatoes have softened. After I put my potatoes on the stove, I let them come to a boil and soften up. It took about 20 minutes. I then dropped 1 stick of butter, and I'm giving this a stir. I'm then going to take my potato masher and mash these potatoes up. I don't mash them up like mashed potatoes. I like to leave a few chunks, but I'm just going to mash these up, and then I'm going to be adding in a can of evaporated milk. That's going to add a little bit of richness to these potatoes, and and this made a huge pot of soup. So after I poured in the evaporated milk, I give it a stir. I let that kind of simmer on the stove for about 15 minutes, and our soup was ready. I served this with 2 chicken wraps with a small bowl of soup, and this is what our plates looked like. I love potato soup, especially if you put toppings on it and kind of make it like it's a loaded potato soup with cheese and bacon crumbles and sour cream. Oh, a little green onion on top. It's so delicious. Coming in at number 3 is something that you may not think about, but if you're growing a lot of tomatoes and you need to use some up, this recipe is a very interesting way to use up those tomatoes. You might not have tried it before. It is tomato pie. For this meal, we are going to make a tomato pie. This is a southern dish, great way to use up fresh tomatoes and produce. I'm gonna be using some tomatoes, onions, cheese. I'm gonna use my other pie crust. So the first thing I need to do is preheat my oven to 350. Then I'm gonna get my pie crust into my pie plate here. Now for this pie, unlike the chicken pot pie, I'm actually gonna put the crust in the bottom. I have sprayed my pie dish here. I'm just going to put this out. I need to bake my crust for just about 8 minutes to get it started before I put my filling in. So I'm just gonna take my crust here. I'm going to put it down into my pie dish, and I'm gonna kind of work that around into your pan. Is you wanna prick it with a fork, because if not, it's gonna bubble up. So I'm just gonna take a fork and put some holes in it like this, so that when I bake it, it doesn't puff up too much. All right, so I'm gonna put this into a 350-degree oven for about 8 minutes. Now to prep my tomatoes, I have washed them. You wanna make sure that they're pretty ripe. So these were greener when I bought them at the beginning of the week. You can see they've ripened nicely on my counter. So tomatoes hold a lot of liquid. So I'm going to be trying to draw some of the liquid out of my tomatoes. So while I'm waiting on my crust, I'm just gonna go ahead and slice my tomatoes up, and then I am going to lay them here onto a paper towel lined cookie sheet so I can have a place for that liquid to go. Not your tomato pie is gonna be a watery pie. So I'm just laying those out here on my cookie sheet. Now that I have all of my tomatoes on my paper towel lined cookie sheet, I'm going to put some salt on them, and that's gonna help draw out some of the liquid. So you just wanna sprinkle a little salt on top, and this is just gonna hang out for a while. And all that liquid that comes out is gonna soak into the paper towel, and plus this salt is gonna give this tomato tons and tons and tons of flavor. So I'm just gonna give this a slice, and then I'm gonna dice. Slice and dice. The next prep that I need to do is I have half a block of cheddar, half a block of mozzarella left. I'm gonna shred that up. That's gonna be going in with the vegetables. Okay, now that I have all that cheese shredded, I put most of it here in this bowl, but I did save a little bit for the top. To make the sauce for this, you're gonna take your cheese and 1 cup of mayonnaise. I'm gonna give this a stir. You're just combining the cheese with the mayonnaise. So I've got that just mixed up. It looks just kind of like that. It's kind of like a pimento cheese texture. So now we're going to assemble our tomato pie. Our crust out of the oven. I'm gonna move this cheese for a minute. All right, our tomatoes, you can see all the liquid that's come out of it. This is the second paper towel I've put on. So I'm just gonna remove that. I'm sure there's many ways to make this pie. This is the way I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna start with a layer of tomatoes. Then I'm going to do some onions. Spread those around. Then I'm going to salt and pepper. Now remember, I've already salted my tomatoes some, so I'm not using much at all. Some people only put the cheese mixture on the top. I'm gonna put some in the middle. Kind of get it spread around like that. This is already smelling amazing. I'm gonna put the rest of my tomatoes. Then I'm gonna put more onions. I'm probably not even gonna use this whole onion, y'all. I'll save that for something extra because I don't think it needs that much. Put the rest of the cheese mixture in. with my remaining cheese. That'll kind of fill in these gaps here. I'm gonna put it back in that 350-degree oven for about 30-35 minutes. You check your cheese, and when it looks done to you, it's probably done, but 30-35 minutes should be good. Here is this beautiful tomato pie out of the oven after 30 minutes at 350 degrees. It smells amazing. And so I'm gonna let this kind of sit and hang out and cool for a little bit, then I'll show you our plates. And here is our tomato pie in my bowl. This looks amazing. It smells so good. It's such a great way to use up garden tomatoes. You can even add other flavors in there. Like if you wanted to add some basil and things like that, you could change up the flavor profiles, but it's definitely a good one. Coming in at number 2 for my favorite vegetarian recipe actually came from my Amazing Summer Side series that I did in June, and it is this broccoli salad. Oh my goodness, it's so good. This broccoli salad, I have 2 heads of broccoli here. The recipe calls for about 5 cups of chopped broccoli. I don't know if I'm gonna have quite 5, but we're gonna get this broccoli chopped into smaller pieces. All right, so there's my broccoli and my red onion. And I've seen recipes that use lots of different ingredients. Some use cranberries. I'm gonna use raisins because that's what I have. So it takes about 2/3 of a cup of raisins. So I've got these little boxes. I'm just gonna use, we'll use 4 boxes and then see what I think. So break up the raisins. Whoa. And try not to throw raisins all over the kitchen. All right, yummy. Some recipes have cheese, cheddar cheese, like a cup of cheddar cheese in here and a cup of crumbled bacon. I don't do that. This is the way I like it. But I will leave a link to a recipe below that uses the bacon and the cheddar cheese. But I like to keep mine simple, just like this. So let's work on the dressing. For the dressing, we're gonna be using some mayonnaise. You can use sour cream if you want. I'm gonna be using plain Greek yogurt just to add some protein. And then we're gonna be using some white wine vinegar. Some recipes I've seen apple cider vinegar. I'm gonna be using the white wine. Salt and pepper, sugar. So let's start with 2/3 a cup of mayonnaise. That looks good. And 5 ounces of this plain Greek yogurt. Using this Greek yogurt adds 15 grams of protein to this dish. And this is a meatless side, so if you are on a meat-free diet, this is a good way to get some protein in. So there's that. Give that a stir. Next to our dressing, we're going to be doing 3 tablespoons of sugar. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna give that a stir. Next, we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of vinegar. I'm using white wine vinegar. You could use apple cider. 1, 2. And give it another stir. Now I'm gonna add salt and pepper to taste. Give it another stir. And then we'll get this onto our broccoli, raisins, and onions. Yummy. This is so good. Now to dress the salad, I have the broccoli, the raisins, the red onions. You could have bacon, cheddar cheese in here if you like. Some people even put nuts, sunflower seeds, pecans, whatever. Like I said, we like it this way. So I'm gonna pour the dressing over. And then I'm just gonna take some tongs, kind of toss it. And here is that broccoli salad with all that yummy dressing on it, the raisins, the onions. Wow. That broccoli salad, y'all, every time I make it, it's devoured in one sitting. It's so good. You need to give that one a try. Coming in at number 1, it's one that I shared in an extreme budget meal plan, and it's so good. It's so good. And I even challenged my friend Brooke over at Southern Frugal Mama to try this, and it was a hit. It's my black bean and zucchini enchiladas. Got my chopped zucchini and onions. I'm gonna let this saute until the vegetables are translucent. Once my veggies have sauteed and are soft and translucent, I'm going to add in my black beans that I have drained and rinsed. This is going to be the filling for the enchiladas. And 1 can of rotel. And let's get back to it. I added salt and pepper to taste. I'm going to add a little bit of cumin. And some garlic powder. And let this come together for about 5 minutes. Okay, I've got my half a block of cheese shredded, got my tortillas out, got my mixture here with my slotted spoon, got the little can of enchilada sauce. I'm going to be putting this in my 9x13 casserole dish. I'm gonna be putting just a little, because I don't have much sauce, a little bit of sauce in the bottom. And then I'm gonna take my slotted spoon here, I'm gonna kind of spread it around. You know what I forgot to do? Spray my casserole dish. I don't want it to stick, so we're gonna have to improvise. We're gonna make this work, y'all. Okay. The cheese is mainly gonna be on the side, so okay, I'm gonna take some mixture. I'm gonna roll it up. I had to make some room so I can make these tighter. Okay, there's 2. I'm hoping to get all 10. I have 10 tortillas, but we'll see how much filling we have. I was able to get all 10 enchiladas rolled up in there with my filling. Now I'm going to pour the rest of my sauce over it. I'm going to be very intentional about how I pour it because I only have this 1 can. So I want to make sure that all the enchiladas get some sauce. I'm gonna sprinkle my cheese on top. I got cheddar here. You could use Monterey Jack, Pepper Jack, whatever cheese it was that you bought at the store. I did cheddar because it's gonna go good in another recipe this week. So here's my enchiladas. We're gonna put these in the oven, 350 for about 30 minutes. Here they are out of the oven. Smells amazing. Let's give it a taste. Okay, let's taste test these black bean and zucchini enchiladas. This is what it looks like on the plate. If you had it in the budget to top it with salsa or sour cream, oh, that would be so good. Or lettuce and tomato, that would be so yummy. I'm gonna eat it like this. This is what the budget called for this video. So I'm going to taste this. Look, I got a bite with everything. This is so good. So there you have it. Those are my top 5 vegetarian recipes that I have shared on this channel. One thing that I noticed as I look back through all the recipes that I've shared is I've not been very creative with vegetarian dishes. I've done like basics. And so maybe that's something that I need to do here in the future. So we're gonna get some creativeness. What's your favorite vegetarian meal? Leave it in the comments below. And until the next one, guys, thank you so much for watching this series with me. It will be linked down in the description box below. And until the next one, bye.